Hello and welcome to this installment of Through the Gunsights, the series that takes you behind the Iron Curtain of 83's development. My name is Adam and I'm the producer for 83. In this episode, we thought we might take the opportunity to try answering a few of your most frequently asked questions, along with a couple that, well, maybe not that frequently asked, we thought were interesting and that you might too. So, let's get answering.
Yes, there will be player flyable helicopters for both sides in the game. And in fact, if you were watching our Through the Gunsights episode back in April, then you probably spotted an American pilot uniform on one of our showcased character models, which was our little way of hinting at the helicopters even back then. If you're a fan of our last game, then you'll probably be pretty familiar with the helicopters we did for that. And you can expect a similar level of fidelity again here in 83. We're aiming for roughly the same levels of realism and accessibility, or difficulty depending on your perspective, that so many players seem to love in that title. For those of you who haven't played it, it uses a physics-based flight model, which is extremely challenging when you first start flying, but with a little bit of practice you quickly find that these things become incredibly powerful and can completely swing the course of a battle. We're not really ready to talk about specifically which helicopters are going to get included just yet. We'd like our artwork to be a little bit further along before we do that, but I will say that each faction will be getting its own unique helos.
Yes, it will. While this is a fictional conflict, it is rooted in history with some variation in events and reactions to those events. We'll start to provide you with this information in the format we are working on, but not ready to talk about just yet until much closer to the game's release. This will take us to the point of conflict, or when the game releases. After this, the way in which many aspects of the story progress will be linked to our systems of persistent warfare, and will directly drive a constant, evolving narrative shaped by the actions of you, the players, and the outcomes of the battles you fight in the world of 83.
Yeah, just like our previous titles, we will have a commander again here for 83. We are looking though to improve some of our quality of life functions, mostly around communication and coordination, try and make things just a little bit easier for that player. And we're also looking at giving them more things to do so that they're not just staring at a row of cooldowns for 10 minutes at a time. They will be able to call in abilities just like in our previous game, but for 83 we're looking to have a greater number of those abilities and a little bit more variety in their functionality. Unlike the previous games, we currently expect most, if not all, of those abilities to be roughly symmetrical between the two sides. And we're also looking to add a little bit more depth and flexibility to the way commanders use their call-ins, but that's something we'll go into a little bit more in a future video. And just as an aside, while we're on the topic of commanders, we do quite often get asked by players, will there be planes in 83? So I will say here, yes there'll be planes, but as part of commander call-in abilities, not as something you can fly as a player. '83 does indeed have squads. We're looking to include all the things that you would expect if you've played our previous titles, like inviting to and kicking from a squad, renaming a squad, locking squads. We're also expanding the number of players that can fit into each squad, and we're trying to improve the functions for the squad leader so that he can communicate a bit more effectively with his commander and his squad mates. And as for spawning, we do intend to allow squads to try and spawn together. At this stage we're looking at probably using a system a lot like the spawn tunnels we had in our previous title, a placeable spawn that the squad leader can put down with various placement restrictions. It takes a few seconds to put down, there's only one of them per squad at a time, and it's pretty easy for the enemy to locate and destroy.
You've asked about destruction, and of course that's something we also want to include in the game, as it's a very cool feature to have. Obviously, we don't want to affect the playability, as destruction can be very network unfriendly. We are in the process of trying out some elements, and we believe we will be doing in the game things like fences, walls, and other predetermined items. We are still doing tests, but we are very hopeful.
First, we decide on what kind of gameplay we want to have in our levels. We are looking for suitable real-world locations that roughly provide fitting landscape features. Once that's done, we identify architectural features that are common for the area, things that people would expect to see in the location of the level they will be playing. We add some of the identified common architecture to the level to support the desired gameplay. If, for example, we need an objective in a location that in reality is just an open field. Sometimes we also move major terrain features around or condense a large area into a smaller one to get cool landmarks and features into the reasonable game area. These changes help us to create a level that is fun and engaging while still retaining key features and the spirit of the real-world location.
Internally, we do have a final list of weapons for launch, but we've not released anything like that to the community officially at this stage, and we're probably not likely to for a little while. We do want to keep some of our powder dry for future updates. But what we will do though is, while I'm talking, it will pop a summary on the screen of every weapon we've shown or mentioned so far in any shape or form in any of our media releases. Beyond those, we will be showing more and more weapons as they start reaching a state where we'd be happy to show them to you. We do intend to allow some character customization. If you have played our previous title, it'll be fairly similar to that, perhaps a little simpler, a little less extravagant in the options, but similar nonetheless. Beyond characters for weapons and vehicle customization, that's something that we're still discussing internally.
Yes, that is our goal. We don't yet know exactly what form that will take, but we do intend to keep releasing additional items well after release to increase variety and to give players more ways to make the soldiers feel a little more individual. We do have lots of items we could add as customization options, it's just a matter of how much of them we can do before release, but we'll definitely be doing more post-launch. At this stage, we're expecting to at the very least have support for custom mapping included at launch. This is the element of community content creation that sees by far the most amount of use, so naturally it's our highest priority on the modding side of things. Ideally, we would like to also have full modding support ready to go at launch, but at the moment it's still too early for us to know if we'll be able to have that ready in time. We are still building the rest of the game itself and learning how various things are achieved in the engine, so it may end up being that we just can't get it done in a timely fashion. If that does happen, however, we'll be definitely looking at making it available in a post-release update instead. That's all for our first 83 Q&A episode. We know that you have lots of questions you'd like to answer about the game, so please keep sending them in on Discord and Reddit, and who knows, we might do more of these in the future. Please keep in mind we're working really hard on development and not everything is concrete yet, so we may not be able to answer some of the more detailed questions just yet, but we'll do our best to provide you with a steady stream of new information about the game. We hope you enjoyed this one, and as we've said before, we do have to give priority to making a game, so more will be coming, including our regular Through the Gunsights episodes, but please be patient. That's it for today, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the battlefield.